There's one. There, that's a good one. Stay on. Oh my God, this is a big fish. Sticky head right there, right through the mouth. Awesome hook set. Offshore. Offshore.
Lunatics, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is all about offshore structure fishing. I'm catching fish on jigs. I'm catching fish on shaky heads. I'm showing you how to go out on your lake and catch fish offshore. What I'm looking for in my graph, how I'm finding these offshore structures that I'm fishing here at home. And I think this video is definitely going to be beneficial for you. I definitely think it's going to help you catch more fish on jigs, on shaky heads, and help you catch more fish offshore. If this video sounds like something you're going to like, make sure to give the video a like. If you like this kind of content along with tip videos and tackle making, my channel is for you, and I think you should definitely hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions while you're watching today's video, make sure to drop those questions or any other comments down in the comment section. So let's get on the water and let's go smash some fish.
There's one. There's a jigglefish. There we go. Didn't even feel that bite. It was just heavy. Oh yeah. Stay on there. There we go. There we go. Do it molds jig. Do it molds jig trailer. Nice little 2-pounder. Offshore rock pile. Fun stuff right there. Yeah, so fun. Didn't even feel that bite. Guys, I don't think it takes $20,000 in electronics in order to catch fish offshore. It doesn't take Panoptics to catch fish offshore. If you have basic units and you know how to read them, you can catch fish offshore, no problem. You can graph around, you can find those areas, you can find those rock piles, brush piles, whatever it is, and find those fish in your home lakes, in your areas. You just gotta spend the time to look for them. You can't get impatient and just go fish what looks good on the bank. You're gonna have to spend time and find those areas. It's not as easy as just driving around looking at the bank, finding stuff. Sometimes it is, because a lot of times those rocky points and stuff lead into the water, and you can just cast out deeper on those same points. And a lot of times you're gonna be able to catch fish doing that. But if you're looking at the, you know, nothing banks and trying to catch offshore fish, you're gonna need to be able to see what's down there in order to maximize your time. So when you're fishing offshore and you're throwing a crankbait, you want to throw the crankbait well beyond your target, because the deepest part of that crankbait's run is going to probably be 3/4 to halfway back, and then it's going to start coming back up. So you want to make sure you cast well beyond it, so that way you start coming in contact with that cover when the crankbait's at its deepest point, and then fish it slowly through that cover, and then boom, a lot of times you're going to get hit right as you're banging into all that stuff. When you're fishing offshore, casting angles are also important. Before, I had the boat closer to the bank and I was casting out into deep water, and now I'm kind of parallel with the bank, seeing if those different angles and coming in contact with that structure a little bit differently is going to trigger those fish to bite. There's one. Another one on the jig. Didn't even feel that bite either. Oh, broke me off. Oh, there, another offshore jig fish. Another offshore jig fish. Little guy, but all of a sudden I just felt this slack come in the line, and I reeled up, felt a little bit of tension on there. Hammered it down, got a good hook set, and got this little guy. Nothing too special there, but you know, fishing offshore, you can catch a lot of fish, you can catch big fish, it's a great way to just fish in general, and throwing a little football jig, throwing a crankbait. There's all kinds of different baits, Carolina rig, all kinds of stuff that you can throw down deep and catch a lot of fish. So let's keep doing it and see if we can't catch a couple more fish. So guys, there's different types of bites that you're gonna get when you're fishing a jig. Sometimes they hammer it, want to rip the rods out of your hand. Sometimes it's just a single tap and they got it. And then, you know, if you're fishing smallmouth, sometimes you really kind of feel them bite it a few different times. And then you got days like today where you don't feel the bite at all. That last fish, I just got slack. It just felt weightless all of a sudden. I reeled up all that slack and felt the pressure once I reeled up on it, because it probably just picked it up, swam right towards the boat, and hammered down on it, had that fish, and he kept swimming towards me the whole time. Had to try to catch up with him the entire time. But you know, you just got to pay attention. You got to notice those taps. You got to notice the difference between the rocks and the bites, and you also need to notice just weightless. You can kind of feel the pressure of that jig going through the rocks and everything like that, but sometimes you're gonna just all of a sudden feel nothing. And sometimes that means, you know, a fish got it and it's probably swimming towards you. So reel up and feel that pressure and set the hook. So this is what I'm looking for when I'm doing this offshore stuff, is I'm looking for areas that have rock on it down deep. And as you can see, I'm coming up on this point and there's a gigantic rock pile. These are all rocks, these are all rocks, some boulders right there, more rocks on this side. This whole point has a ton of rocks on it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fish this uphill. So I'm gonna turn around and then start throwing different baits in the area and hopefully catch a couple fish. And as you can see, we're coming up shallower, still some more rocks over there, rocks over here. There's rocks everywhere. There's one. There, that's a good one. Stay on. Oh. There's one. There, that's a good one. Stay on. Oh my God, this is a big fish. This is a big one. Stay on there, fish. Oh my God, this is a big fish. This is a big one. Stay on there, fish. Stay on. Stay on. Oh my gosh. Guys, this is 15 pound too. I don't know what kind of fish it is, but it's big, whatever it is. Big. Oh man. Stay on there. Stay on there. Oh, they can't move this thing. Like, can't move. Like, I'm gonna have to go after it, I think. Guys, this thing is giant, whatever it is. I don't know if this is a bass or not, guys. Look the way it's fighting, but it's something big, that's for sure. Just needed to tire out and come up. Oh my God, it's a big old catfish. Oh, look at this thing, guys. This thing's a beast of a catfish. Snagged it in the tail. Look at this thing, guys. Oh, it broke off. Hope you guys saw it, but it was a giant catfish. Broke me right off in the tail. Big old catfish. That's crazy. Guys, that was a giant catfish. It actually, like, was pulling so hard that, like, I can feel it in my bicep right now. Right in the tail. I don't know if you guys were able to see it on camera or not, but man, that thing was kicking my butt, that's for sure. But it would have been cool to have been able to get it in the boat, but it is what it is. I'm kind of glad it didn't, because it would have gotten all slimy and everything. But There's obviously fish down here. Wrong kind, but nevertheless, that was still kind of cool. There's one. There's one. Found the rock pile. Threw the shaky head out there. Got bit. That's what you can do offshore. Oh, it's a decent fish too. Hopefully it stays on. Got real light line. Real light line. I think it's like 6 or 7 pounds or something like that. Oh, he's hooked perfectly though. Hooked perfect. There we go. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Shaky head right there. Right through the mouth. Awesome hook set. Offshore. Offshore. There we go. Well, I literally just graphed down the bank and found a rock pile, put waypoints on each side of it, so I knew that if I was casting in between those waypoints, I'd be in the rock. And I'm bringing this shaky head through, and didn't really even feel a bite, but I just eventually felt like the pressure and the tug of that fish, set the hook and got it in here. I'm probably fishing 15 to 20 foot of water, and yeah guys, it's, you just go over that rock pile, find it on your graph, put the waypoint on it, set back up on it, start making casts. And sometimes these offshore fish, they're gonna want it a little bit finessey. I've been throwing jigs, throwing the Carolina rig, throwing crankbaits on them, and you know, second, third cast with the shaky head, ended up getting bit. So sometimes you gotta finesse them out here deep. There's another one. There it is. There it is. Another fish on the shaky head. It's gonna jump. Stay on, fish. Same little rock pile. Graphed over it. Threw the shaky head out there. You get bit. Definitely made a difference when I went to the finesse stuff, going from the, you know, jigs and Carolina rigs and stuff like that to the finesse. Definitely made a difference. Not a giant, but you know, you got to find the fish before you can worry about what size they are. And you never know. It only takes one cast for it to be a giant. There's another one. There we go. Shaky head bass. This one doesn't feel very big. Oh, it's a little guy. Still fun though. Still eating that shaky head in deep water. Fighting good. He's fighting like he's big. Fighting like he's big. Come on, I'll put you back in, don't worry. You're gonna go back in there. He was fighting like he was big. Another one on the shaky head, guys. All I had to do was start finessing them, and then I started getting bit. Guys, fishing deep doesn't have to be as complicated as a lot of people make it out to be. You just got to think about what you would normally fish up shallow, rock piles, trees, stuff that you can see. All you got to do to fish deep is find that same kind of stuff underneath the water. That's where your electronics come in. That's where, you know, your buddy telling you about a spot comes in. And you know, you go out, you find those spots and you fish it in similar ways. Just like some days they're going to eat a jig, some days it's going to take finesse, some days they're going to eat a crankbait. It all just depends, and that's where you have to figure out the bite. You can find the areas, you can find them up shallow, you can find them out deep, but you have to figure out what they want to eat that day. So like in today's video, I ended up fishing a jig out offshore, caught a couple fish, and then that stopped. Then I had to go finesse them, and then we got a few bites finessing them. So go out to your next trip, go out, use those electronics, look at the banks and everything, because a lot of times when you see those rock piles coming into the water from the bank, a lot of times that continues out into the water. Those tree lines that start out on the bank, a lot of times they might come in to the water depending on where you're at, unless they cut them all down like some lakes. But for the most part, what you see on the bank continues on into the water. So if you don't have the greatest electronics, you don't know how to read your electronics, one, you need to learn how to do that, and two, you know, take advantage of what you see, and then that a lot of times will translate into the water. So I hope I made tackling this offshore deal a little less daunting and gave you some insight into doing it for yourself. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to give it a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.